has something that they want to, that they want to feel better, they want to look better, they want to just have energy. So there is nothing that the Healy can't do for every single person I know. So for me, and coming from a network marketing background, I mean, I've been in, many, not many different network marketing backgrounds. I've been in one and done quite well in another network marketing background. But I just find that it's something that everybody needs. So there should be no reason not to be able to share that. And it's simply, all I'm doing is, what literally the message I received from Tracy was, hey, have you heard of frequency healing? And I'm like, no, I haven't. What is it? And she said, oh my God, it's amazing. I'll add you to this group. She added me to the group. I thought, oh my God, I want to know more. And then I said, okay, I want to buy it. That was it. I literally did not even question. I think we all need to understand how incredible this product is and have a look. I'm a visionary, right? So I see future. I see vision. And this product is something that, what do you call it? Blue ocean? I think that's what you call it, a blue ocean product that no one has, guys. You could be sharing it with 20 to 30 people a day. Literally just sharing it and asking them just that question, adding them to that group, and just what I call is a ping pong conversation. Hey, how's it going? What did you think? What did you feel? What did you love most? Don't ever say, what do you think? What did you love most? Get into a ping pong conversation, up and back, up and back. That's all you need to do. And then if they need more information, you send them some more info, whatever it might be. There's so many videos, there's so many things out there. And I just feel it is just simple. Keep it simple, sister or brother, whatever you want to be. Just keep it simple. Don't overcomplicate it in your head, because if we overcomplicate it, it's then just confusing for the person that you're delivering or sharing the experience with. That's it. Done.
Thank you so much for sharing. I love that.
That's okay.
I've
Cool.
said it better myself.
So that's
well, that's good.
Everybody. We've just
Yeah.
finished today's training. Thanks for jumping on. Dee, special guest. Appreciate that.
No worries. Sorry, I just had to share that. There you go. There you go.
That's exactly what we wanted.
Cool.
That's really cool. Yeah. Thanks for sharing.
That's okay.
That's it. Keeping it simple.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about.
Love it. Love it. Well,
love to get one more share.
One more.
Sorry, I took too long.
No. Great. Who would like to share? 1, 2. See all the people's body language. They're like, yep, no, yeah. No.
I could share. Sorry, guys. I could share, but I agree with Dani 100%. I mean, she introduced it to me and her excitement just got me so excited that I went out and shared it to a bunch of people and they just jumped on board. Same as her, we come from another network marketing level, and I don't want to do any comparisons, but this is easy. It's really simple. You just get out there and share and talk to people and show your excitement, because I believe in it 100%. And I know it works. I haven't got it in my hand and I really want it because I've needed it this weekend big time. But I know that when I share with that excitement and that joy, and it just becomes easy. There's ease and flow to the whole experience. So my experience has been great and I love it. So
can I just add to that? Sorry, yeah. That's amazing. And I just feel like if we keep saying it's easy, just keep saying to yourself, because it is easy. And just that word for me and Kat are just saying to each other, oh my God, this is so easy. This is so easy. This is so wonderful. It's so easy. Just keep that vibe up, because it'll seep into the subconscious and you'll just think it's easy. Just keep going that way. That's what we've been doing, just egging each other on. So yeah.
Absolutely.
Love it.
Thank you so much for sharing, guys. Love it. So, who's ready to actually go out and share now? That's so easy.
I don't think I need to share anything.
So this is where it's going to be really interesting, because now as you start to share, you're going to bring more people into this experience. And we're all about building leaders and cultivating leaders in this business. And so couldn't have put it in a better place than actually interview the person who initiated these interviews, the man by the name of Deane. So I'm actually really excited to actually share a little bit more of behind the scenes, because I know this guy shares a lot of him. when it comes to sharing Healy, and he shares from the back. I love it because he's literally the epitome of leading from behind. It's oftentimes when we come into this business, the mindset of it is like, oh, well, that person's above me and that he's making or she's making all the money from me. But I've seen this guy behind the scenes build more people up than I've ever seen in this industry ever. And it's because of that we are all able to co-create this incredible movement. If it wasn't for him, we wouldn't be here at the end of the day. I mean, you'd probably be in a different team, later down the track. But, I wouldn't have come on board if it wasn't for our incredible relationship and just the vision that he had casted. It wasn't relentless. It wasn't even pushy. It was just like, it was a constant reminder of this excitement that never burnt out. And it was like, it caught me on fire. It caught my attention, and that caught so many other people's attention. So I want to actually just take this as an opportunity to really take you back to that very beginning moment. Where were you pre-Healy, and what was that feeling that you got that made you so excited, knowing what you know in this business? I want you to, because we're going to get into this in a second, that what I've actually titled this interview, just throwing it out on across the airwaves, is what does it give? Like, what do you have to give? Not what does it take? What do you have to give in order for you to, I posted in the leaders and I was like, what does it take? I'm like, well, no, let's rephrase that. What does it give? To be able to say experience making an impact so much that you can make more in a month than you did in a year in terms of a traditional job. And this guy is very selfless. He doesn't make any income claims at all. So I'm going to make it for him. But I want to go back before you get into that, go back to that moment. What were you feeling? What did you see in this? And what made you so relentless in this approach to then build? Now you've got 5,000 people in your team in 10 months. Let's go back to that moment.
Right. All right. Oh, thanks for the love, everyone. Thanks for the question. So let's take it back to the beginning, hey?
Yeah.
The beginning started, before doing this, I was working the longest job I had ever worked, which was a TV presenting job in Sydney for Channel 7, an offshoot, which was it was a home shopping channel. And so growing out of high school, I actually had super low self-esteem, and anything to do with presenting, talking, communicating was the hardest thing for me. Even in class in high school, I couldn't put my hand up to ask the teacher a question because I had judged the opinions of other people so much. I was in my head, I was dead, right? And so I was really kind of shut down there. And I remember going to Tony Robbins when I was 18 years old, and he said, set a goal so big that you can look back look back at the end of your life and be like, I'm really proud of that one thing. What's the one thing that you could be really proud of if you set a massive goal? And at that time, my biggest goal was the ability to communicate. And I thought, well, who communicates really well? Actors. So I was like, I want to be an actor. And so that was the identity that I wanted to embody. And so getting out of Tony Robbins, I started to learn about physiology and mindset and beliefs, and I started to really kind of shape my life. And from that, I got into NLP. I started learning about personal development. I went online, bought as many books as I could just to literally grow my mind, because if what we think about, we bring about. So I was like, I got to start changing my thinking. Obviously, what I'm thinking about is bringing about what I'm currently experiencing. Let's change how I'm thinking. So I went out and I just digested all these books. I think YouTube at the time, documentaries. I was that kid that at 17 years old in high school, even before doing this, I was burning documentaries to hand out at my high school. The documentary called Zeitgeist, which talks about the monetary system and how corrupt it is, or the Earthlings documentary talking about how corrupt and tragic the food system is. I just always had this propensity inside of me to want to help and give back. Anything that I had filled my cup up with or learned, I was like, did you know this? Check it out. And it was just I was doing network marketing before, the way you found a good network marketing company as well is that you would share the product even if you didn't get paid. And so this is a product that I would still share even if I didn't get paid to share, because it's so incredibly amazing. And so within that, I got out of, started, learning about personal growth, got into sales. I started to do door knocking, telemarketing. My first year out of high school, I had 12 jobs. Not because I was fired. Actually, I think I got fired. But like there was bar work, there was like working from home, doing like calling people up from home. I was doing wine sales. There was a cafe. There was my first network marketing company was Juice Plus. So this is like 13 years ago. And I loved the whole concept. I was like, it's amazing. Let's all get healthy and wealthy together. But all the people in that community were like all these oldies. And I was like 18 years old when I first heard about it. So I kind of knew about network marketing from a young age. And then I learned about, these other amazing people in the industry like Robert Kiyosaki or Richard Branson or Tony Robbins, who started to support network marketing. I was like, wow, but I just didn't align with that first company. And then I started to learn about New Skin and then, the amazing products that I was like, I just wanted to help the people in my environment. I just wanted to help my mom and my dad. They're the first two people, even with Healy. I'm like, I want to help my mom and my dad first. If I could do that, I feel like I'm a success. My dad hasn't bought one yet. So getting there, but from there, like I loved network, and I got out of network marketing because it was like too hard. It's just didn't align with me. And then I found the other company, which was Isogenics, back in 2013. And I loved the whole concept of it, the culture, the training, everything. And I add a lot of who I am today to the network marketing space as literally a personal development journey that paid me to learn about communication and psychology and sales and, social media, and all the stuff that I share today has been a massive, foundation within my old company. And obviously just going at surrounding myself with the right people. And then, so obviously when Healy came about, I had realized that there is such an important time within a company in your success to timing. And so all these other companies, they thought, they said timing wasn't important. And I was like, okay, but you're making like millions of dollars like a year, and I'm making like a couple $100, $1,000. Like, what's the miss? I feel like I'm leading my team better than some of these leaders up on stage who didn't even enroll people. And I'm like, what's the difference? And so I felt, getting out of Isogenics maybe a year and a half ago, I got into the TV presenting space, and I didn't do network marketing. I was like, I'm never going to do it again. And so I got into Uber. Like my income went from like, nearly 6 figures a year to like couple $100 a week. And because of the binary and how that was structured, I had like 3 or 4 leaders leave the team. I think they went to Kangan and Magic at the time and some other company, or they just stopped. So my income within 3 months, like pretty much went down 3 quarters. And so I was like, all right, I've got to find a new job. So I got into doing Uber, and then I got into running some other events with Alex Lambert, doing mastermind events, doing Broth Night, which is a big community event. So I got into other things that I was super passionate about, and then TV presenting, which was like live television. Like, of course, I want to learn, like if there's one skill I want to be comfortable at, would be being able to communicate my story from the heart on camera with other people. Because remember, 17, 18 years old, my biggest fear was public speaking and talking and things like that. So this has been like catapulted because of the trauma of not being able to communicate. That void in my life, we talk about our wounds create our superpowers, and it has now created, I guess, a superpower. And so, but it's like, there's obviously so many different elements. So when I first heard about Healy, my question, I had to believe in the product, because anything I get involved with, the product needs to be amazing. Because if you don't share the product just for the product, you don't want to be a part of it, right? So I thought, okay, what is it about this product? And I didn't like the Bluetooth aspect, but then I was like, okay, you can turn the Bluetooth off. All right, cool. Let me find the next thing. And I got to a point where I didn't have any objections. I was like, all right, well, I got to buy one then. But then I looked, I was like, all right, well, tell me about how the compensation plan works. So I started with the product, watched a bunch of interviews by Caroline McMacken, spoke to Taryn Lee, who we did the interview with last week. I think 2 45-minute conversations. I was like, tell me about this. This is before the presentations and the webinars. So most of these questions are answered now in all the webinars that we do. But so I got really clear on that. And then I didn't tell anyone until I think you were the first person I told coming home. I was like, dude, there's this device that scans chakras, it zaps you, gets you back into balance. I'm like, this is so unique. And I had this excitement in this like, and to a point, I forgot about my normal job. Like I was at my normal job doing so much Healy work. I was like, I'm actually not even doing, I'm not in integrity here. I need to plan my escape, because I wasn't really focusing on my job. I was like, okay, how can I do Healy full time? And, within the first month, I think I sold 6 I sold 6 direct. So it was a 4,000 Australian price Heelys. And I think 3 in my first week. I think it took like 2 weeks for my Healy to arrive, and I'd already sold 3 Heelys before that. So it fast started. That was my main motivation. I was like, if I'm going to get it, let's get my money. My first goal was like break even. And then I was like, okay, once I broke even, I was like, oh God. And then I made like 6,000 Australian dollars my first month. And I was like, what? So $2,000 profit after my Healy. And then the next month I was like, okay, well, I think I only shared it with one person. I didn't place people correctly. I didn't know much. Like I wasn't that focused on that. But then I started placing people correctly. And my third month was like 14,000 Australian dollars. And it was during the promo, and I had enrolled like 9 people, and like the binary, I was like, holy moly, this is nuts. And so I literally led with the product, scanning, and what I understood from home shopping, what I understood from sales background is that you can't say the wrong thing to the right person. You can't say the right thing to the wrong person. Is that right? Yeah. You can't say the wrong thing to the right person and the right thing to the wrong person. Yeah. So I understand timing in someone's life. Timing is really important. You know, they might have other things that are a priority right now, but what I can be responsible for is at least walking someone through the process. This is how the Healy works. This is my experience. And so literally my first week I scanned 35 people. And then from there, I think I scanned 200 people within like a month or two with the events and stuff that we're holding. And now probably like up to 400 people that I've scanned now through the remote session. So it is kind of a numbers game, because there's, you know, I don't like to say that, but it's like, I'm leading with my heart, sharing my story, walking them through the Healy, and then just answering their questions, connecting them into the group, connecting them in with a call, third-party validation to kind of help them understand, and getting myself out of the equation as quick as possible. I like to say the least, really, and link up the person to the information that answers the question. But seeing, in the beginning, it was a binary system. There was a massive tick for me, because there's a great momentum that can happen in a short period of time in a binary. So people need to have the runs on the board and that early success within something like this to build that confidence. Mm-hmm. If someone gets 6 months into this and they're not earning anything, it's kind of like, it's a bit disgruntling. So the fact that you can sell 1 unit and make between 150 to 800 Australian dollars just from one sale, when my old company, I was making $80 to $160 for a sale, like that boosted my confidence, knowing that I could stand there with someone and say, your life can change. You can pay for your like rent for the next 2 weeks with one sale. Like, what are your financial goals? And so really leaning into asking questions about them. And I'd say the 2 questions that I'm really curious about is talking about, like, for when I'm sitting down with someone, what's an area of your health that you want to improve in the next 90 days? Like, what are you wanting to improve in the area of health? If you're going to change one thing, what is that? And then saying, okay, well, the Healy has this, this, and that. So I'm then showing them how this product is going to help, how the Healy is going to help them. And then also financially, it was like, hey, what is some financial stresses that you have right now? What's one thing in terms of your finances that you'd like to, that's a challenge? And it might be a bill or a debt or a trip or whatever it is. And just having that conversation up front was like, okay, well, let me show you how to do that with the compensation plan. You want to be earning, you know, we've had people in the team come in, I want to earn $10,000 in a month. Okay, well, that's, you know, this is how many direct sales and this is the binary, you know, things like that, and breaking that down for people. But if there's one thing that I'd love to be able to bottle up and like instill into every single one of you know, everyone in the team, it's just this hunger for life, or like a desire for more. And if there's anything that what I'm doing when I'm connecting with people, I'm seeing if they have a desire to want more in life. Right? Do they have a desire to improve their life or to improve their family or their health? You know, like, are they self-driven? Are they wanting, do they have that desire? Because we can only do so much. There's no need to force, convince, drag anyone to try to, you say, you're dragging someone through the what do you call it? Doorway of change. We can't change anyone's mind. But those are people that are driven. I'm like, oh my gosh, if there's an event going on and someone's really asking questions, leaning forward in the chair, like, oh my gosh, like, I'm going to be really focused on them, because they're the ones who are leaning in. And because the people who, you know, there's obviously different learning styles, but really being attentive on where I spend my energy, because it's you want to be working with the people that are wanting to run with you.
Just cracked it open straight away. Love it, man. And going into that, it's like, you know, this is a powerful tool that I've found within this, like this is an incredible system to really see who actually wants this more than anybody else. And so that's what I love about this, is because it's game changing, one. But a lot of the people out there that are looking at this going, okay, we talked about this earlier. It's, you know, how, like, this is so easy, right? This is so easy. It's just that our minds is what makes it hard, right? So if you could say one thing, like, what would you do differently, knowing what you know now? Because that was like an uphill battle from going from where you were to where you are now to where you're going. If there was one thing you could do really, like, shift, like, what was the one thing that you could actually shift that would make it so much more easier, knowing what you know now?
Okay. Wow. So in the beginning, I'll be really honest with you guys, like, my main motivation was getting out of my job and wanting to do this full time. And so there was a place of desperation inside of me, because I'd come from, like, I understood the freedom of network marketing, where there was like 3-4 years of that experience in my last company, where I could do whatever I wanted and sleep in, or do, you know, experience life and say yes to life. And then, so there was kind of this like heaviness on expectations, house, like bills, all these different things that I kind of like was weighing me down. So I came from that, like, there's this crazy, there was like times at nighttime, I was waking up at nighttime. We went on a crazy walk as well late at night, just discussing everything. But there was like this, I was waking up brainstorming ideas on how I was going to share this. And I wake up and write the list. I look through my phone, I look through my Facebook, I look through my Instagram. Who can I talk to first? I was like devouring, like, how can I share this? And I understood that in the very beginning, it was never, like, it didn't really matter what I said. It just mattered my energy behind it. It was the energy of where I was coming from, what I was, and I was like, I was okay with not knowing all the answers, because there was so much that I didn't know. I was okay with that uncomfortability of not having my product, not knowing anything about the science, but that concept and doing some of that research gave me that confidence to go, I don't know everything. It's not about me, but there's this piece of information right here, guys, that's amazing. I've been researching it. Like, do you want to check it out? Or when I get my hands on this piece of information, do you want me to let you know if it's any good? And that's what Tracy's doing. She's got 50 people lined up who are like, when you get it, let me know if it's any good. Right? And so it's having faith and trust in something. I think that came from, I guess, my belief in my ability. And that's why we talk about the different skills and my belief. So different beliefs in self, belief in the company, belief in the product, belief in the compensation plan, belief in network marketing. I had a great belief in myself that I could do this. And I think I stood on that. But if there's something that I could tell myself, like, from now to then back then,
Yes,
on like how to make this process better.
Yeah.
Well, there's definitely, in the beginning, I would like, it wasn't 2 feet in. It was like, it was like all limbs so far. Like, I crossed the line, the chasm of like, I'm never looking back. I'm creating this lifestyle no matter what. There was like 100% all in, every fiber of my mind, body, and spirit to my ability was in so much alignment that I couldn't not do this. And so I pretty much focused all my intention on the future and the present moment. And I was never focused on the past of like, all those failures and stresses or debts and things that I had. I was like, if I just do this, this, and this over the next couple of months, I could totally set myself up, totally free myself. And I did. Like, that was the focus. And so I think in the beginning, I think I was probably not as organized as I could have been. So like, obviously now we have more systems, we have the groups and things like that. But I don't know what I'd say to myself. I'd probably say, like, just integrate 1 day off a week. Like, because I was literally working, you know, every day, 12 hours, 16 hours a day. It's like thinking about a plane, right? Getting it off the ground, the most amount of fuel is getting it off the runway into the air. And then once it's in the air, it's the safest place. The most unsafe place for a plane is on the ground. It's not designed for the ground. And so it's that first 3 months, this 90-day or 88-day game plan that you guys set to get yourself off. This is why the most important part of any business, or even in a relationship, like, giving yourself 100% the whole time. But if you yeah, it's like being really present with it and building that quick. And if anyone has like, just put a yes in the comments if you feel that sometimes you have that negative voice that comes in. I'm not good enough. I can't do this. You know, I'm too busy. You know, my kids are doing this or my work's. If you have that comes in, right? And that's normal. And so that is something that I had too. But I tell you something really interesting about human psychology is that when we start taking action, our brain can only focus on a certain amount of information at a time. Like if we hurt ourselves, we can only focus, and we have like multiple injuries. We can only focus on mainly one injury at the same time because our brain is only focused. We can only focus on so much information. And so what I did in the beginning was I scheduled in, I organized so much like action that I didn't leave any time for my mind to worry about the negativity or the doubt. I crowded,
and I can justify this. I would walk in at like, I would walk past his house, and then the red light would be on, and he'd be like, you see this shadow through the glass with the whiteboard, and he'd just be like
sitting down, messaging,
and I'd open the door, and he'd be like, and he got all these names like at 10 o'clock at night, and he was obsessed. He was absolutely obsessed. And I guess what I want to ask you is, how did you separate the energy of that desperation? Because I know where you were. Like, I know exactly what had happened. Like, it took you some convincing to not leave. You were almost going to move away. I was like, no, Zach can't move away. Like, I'll pay for your rent. I'll do whatever it takes. Like, this mastermind can't leave.
Yeah.
And you were about to leave because of certain scenarios of people moving out, and I was living next door. How did you separate in your mind the desperation and focusing on the intention of your future?
Desperation. Okay.
Because knowing where you were, like, this is where you were in like the past and all the things, and even being burnt by network marketing, how did you separate that and then go all in with this so that that energy didn't get brought into the conversation of speaking to people?
Got it. Okay. And I think the other thing, and also to answer the last question in terms of what would I say to from my future self to my past self, I'd like to just share that as well. And then I can share this. I think to answer your question really quickly, at every stage of this, because it was such a new product and such a new area, no one had heard about it and still doesn't for the next, even, there's companies that have been around 20 years in network marketing, and there's people that come into it within 3 years are millionaires, and the company's already been around for 20 years, 15 to 20 years. You can be successful at any of these companies, you know what I mean, if you have that alignment and you can go for it. But this product and this uniqueness and the speed of what people are doing, people are saying, it took me 6 years, or people 6 years or 5 years to get to the marks that they're doing within 6 months in this business in Healy, because of the uniqueness that I saw. The product, the compensation plan, everything about it was so different. It spurred a spark inside of me to go, how can I share this differently? If I bring in the old energy, it's going to co-create that old, it's going to create the whole experience. So my primary question was, how can I do this different? Because it's these questions that we ask ourselves that create our focus, and what we focus on expands and we get more of. So it was like, how can I do it different? And so I think with the momentum that I built 2 feet in, obviously I was going, I knew from my old company, there needs to be a declaration to myself of, I'm going to do this for 10 years. Like, that's how I was like, if I'm going to do this, I want to do this right. I'm going to come in, I'm going to do this for 10 years. This is not a get rich quick thing. This is a get wealthy for the next generation of the world thing, And so I was like, 10-year vision. I was all in. I started to ask better questions around how can I make this different? Everything of what I learned in the past, or what even people showing up on social media. I was like, how can I do this different? And how can I do this me? How can I do me in this? How can I do it different? And how can I do me? And to answer the question from before, what would I tell my old self, knowing what I know now, is there is so much power, and I'm still figuring this out, but I'm no expert at this, but there's so much power in team, like literally proximity of Brandon and I working together, where we both like pitch and catch and stretch and like, you know, and have different ideas. So it's that like we talk about it in the 10K group. It's like first step is find an accountability buddy, but most people do it. Don't do it. It's like literally the fuel that I've put into this is a result of the accountability I've put on myself or others have put in on that I've chosen from others. You know, like I've consciously created an environment of accountability where where I live, where I socialize, what's going on, who I spend time with is in a way of holding me accountable. And if you want to have an account, you got to I don't like accounting, but it's important to have be accountable. And so that was really important. But what I would say to myself is having those honest, really deep questions. It's hard now because like I have the certainty that this works. So it's like I didn't have that foresight, or like I didn't know the future, right? So I couldn't tell myself, hey, in 6 months you're going to be doing this, or in 9-10 months this is where you're going to be at. I had to create that in my mind. I had to create that certainty of like this is it. And so I had to really, like, for the first time in my life, I had to start expressing my voice. I had to start speaking from the heart. I had to really like drop in, and like it's still such an amazing process, learning from the amazing women that we live with, and we're surrounded by the entrepreneurs that are around here. Love Out Loud movement, the book, this incredible book, the Love Out Loud. And it talks about a 3-step process that what I've been using now lately is what we've been using before meetings, or even with my partner, or even with, just times that I'm feeling like a bit stuck, is like, what do I feel right now? What am I feeling? What do I need in this moment? And what do I want? What am I feeling? What do I need? What do I want? What do I want? What do I need? What do I feel? And it's been a great way to drop into my heart, to kind of connect with me before I project my stuff into the meeting or into a conversation and things like that. So if there's one thing I could recommend, it would be there's a lizard next to us. What
do you want? What do you need?
What are you feeling? He wants to join in the conversation.
See, it's automatic.
And so that process, I think, is allowed me to go deeper within my own, I guess, heart, and that vulnerability, and that I maybe didn't have in the beginning. And it's that vulnerability that can really cut through any conversation, and really taking your time. Like literally in the beginning, I went out and I messaged 100 people, like multiple hundreds of people. I haven't told many people this, but like multiple hundreds of, like couple hundred people. There was this couple weeks where I messaged hundreds. Like
almost thousands. Almost 1,000.
It's like I went obsessed. That's why in the units of the 10K group, we put how obsessed are you? Because there is an obsession that had to form and well, for me. And so that's what I did in the beginning. And so that was kind of like, there was like a shotgun or like a machine gun. This is all the information, like shooting it out there. And it wasn't the best way, because those people probably found out about Healy. They went, oh, this is some weird message. And then probably spoke to someone else who gave them the time, and then enrolled with someone else. Right. So are there people, if you're going out there speaking to hundreds of people, that's great, but can you honor the follow-up? Can you honor the connection that you have with them to really ensure that who you've connected with? Because if we really care about someone, and this is like a bit of a slap in the face for me, like if I really care about someone, I'm going to share with them the best of my ability, as thorough as, like, listen in, like be 1,000% present, so that I can really help them and answer their questions, and then help the next person, and then help the next person. So what I would rather do now is talk to 3 quality people every single week. Or, every day I'm still talking to people, I'm still following, I'm still adding people into the group. But out of a week, I go, okay, who are the top 3 that I've connected with that are really listening to this? I want to really put them in like a main part of my list, so I can connect with them more deeply. So that would probably be is the speed is really important to get things off the ground. But once that's kind of build that momentum, then it's really about taking that quality and building depth with those people that you've connected with.
Yeah. Quality versus quantity. And you've only got, if you look at your, I've seen your back office, but you've enrolled what, 50 people total?
I think it's about 70 or 80 now.
70, 80. So like, leading by example, every person's different. How have you managed to respect people's, like, where they're at? Because obviously everybody's different. How have you, utilized this in this vehicle to then go, okay, cool. Out of the people that are wanting to share it, how have you actually allowed that space to come through to fruition? Because I know for a fact, like I'm here, you know, I'm all in, like we're on this journey together, you know, and I don't think there's anybody more in than me in the team. But there's more people out there that are like, okay, how have you given the time for them as when you're going from a sales conversation to more of a leadership conversation? In what way in your mind do you kind of like identify that this person, even though maybe they've never done network marketing before, how have you like identified that this person could be, you know,
someone I want to work with?
Yeah. Someone you want to work with.
And bridging. Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, always. So I can't read all these messages at the same time, but if there's any questions,
I'll read them.
Yeah, you read them. And so how do I like work with the leaders? So it's the people that are jumping on board. They make themselves obvious. Like they make themselves like, hey, I really want this, you know. There's actually kind of, because I'm leaning in so much and running with it, I guess there maybe is this like, okay, well, if he's doing it, like I can do this too. There's kind of like, if I'm going for it and I want to take people along for the journey. So it's, yeah, looking at the people who I've enrolled and then having those conversations with them, and just like, not necessarily all about Healy, but like, hey, how are you? What's going on? And if I feel like they've got other priorities and other businesses and other things that are going on, then, you know, I'm going to support them in that. I'm never going to be like, hey, like, or I would say, hey, how's your Healy business going? You know, what are some blocks for you right now? You know, how's it going? Is there anything I can help with? And if you need anything, just let me know. And so most people are like, yeah, I just want to do the product. I just, you know, I'm happy sharing in and around what I'm doing. It's not really my focus. So I'm like, okay, all right, no worries. Like, so I just take mental note of that or have that. And then it's like those that I call and touch base with, because I'm always reconnecting with my enrollments. It's really important. I think there's a lot of, yeah, it's not about enrolling someone and never talking to them again. I always want to be setting up my conversation with them. If you ever need anything, reach out. And that's like so important. You know, as much of the team as I can, but definitely my personally enrolled, you know?
Yeah.
And then those that are really wanting to run with it are like, yeah, what do I do? Okay, well, it's important. Someone says to you, hey, I want to start doing the business. I say, okay, this is the link. This is why I created the Getting Started link, which is learn about the product, learn about the business, learn about the recordings and things like that. Because some people want to learn in their own time. They want to just have like something to go to, but there's some people that need to be sat down and be like, okay, well, the 5 steps under that, the step 2 in that document, that website I created, which was finding your story, is always number 1. And then secondly is writing an easy list of 10 people. And then once they've written the list, I'll sit down with them and say, okay, tell me about this person. Like someone's linking me up with all these chats on Instagram right now, like so many, it's so exciting. And so I'm like, okay, I'm looking at their profile, I'm feeling into what they're about, what they need. And then I'm like, okay, I'm going to tailor my conversation, the video, the approach differently. So step number 1 is know your story. Even if you don't have a Healy right now, you still have a story. You have a background, a story, who you are, what you're about, and think about the aha moments that made your mind and your life open to Healy and why you believe in it. So those aha moments for me, it was, you know, being in the health space for 6 years, health coaching people. And even though they were eating healthy and exercising, they still weren't healthy. There was a missing link to the whole puzzle. What's that missing link? Frequency, connecting back to nature, frequency therapy. So that was my kind of aha moment of like, so when I take people on that journey, when I'm sharing in the beginning, when I sold the 3 machines before it arrived, it was because I had just shared my background of like, this is what I've learned, this is what I'm learning. And, you know, can I send you some information? Always asking for permission.
Yeah.
Always asking for permission. Is it okay? I would say, is it okay? I start the sentence with, is it okay if I send you this? Is it okay if I add you into the group? Is it okay if I invite you to an event? Is it okay if I give you a call here? I always use that kind of language pattern. That's just something to take on board. And then if I were to send you this video, would you watch it? If I would you, it's not pushy. It's always asking for permission and always leading, you know, the next exposure, the next piece of education. They say people who are really good at network marketing are people who are teachers, because they have the patience. Patience is a virtue. And they also have this ability to just not judge and just be able to go, okay, well, let's take you on this journey. Even if you don't know the simple things, I'm going to guide you through it step by step. And that's always a process for me, is like coming back. Am I coming from my heart? Am I patient? Because everyone's at a different place, timing, right? And so, yeah, always your story, figuring out your story. If you have your Healy, if you had it for a couple of weeks, if you're not even using your Healy right now, start using it so you get a testimonial, get your story, you know, like using it 3 times a day for the next month, go for it. Like that's your challenge. If you just got your product and you're still figuring out your story, get your story. But, or if you don't have a story, borrow other people's stories from the testimonial group, borrow my story or Brandon's story, or, you know, all these different people's stories, because it's those stories that are so exciting. You know, I just downloaded a couple of videos in the testimonial group. I'm going to create a brand new video for everyone. So it's going to be like probably 5 minutes, 3 to 5 minutes short, but it's going to have like heaps of video testimonials, and it will have a little bit of the videos from the Healy stuff. So it's going to be more captivating. I think those testimonials are the best. And so if you don't have a story right now, I'll send you this video, I'll edit it today, and it will have more testimonials. So leading with the story, and then writing your list, all the top income earners of any of these companies, or, you know, like if you want to be just a networker, someone who is connected and is of like, and come from a place of influence, there needs to be some central location for all your the database, these names, these contacts, maybe one thing about them that you remember about them as well, so that you can remember, you know, the link to their social media. So I have a spreadsheet, I have their name, their social media, their number, how I met them, you know, just some details about them. So I'm like, oh yeah, that person, that time, because you're probably going to forget. It's really important to have that list. And in that step number, so that the getting started, just in the chat, if everyone's like, what are you talking about? This link, step number 2, down the very bottom, has the list, and it's something that you download, and then you can go through it step by step with the names and brainstorm. So with your accountability, if this is your challenge this week, with your accountability buddy, print out that list document and go through and set yourself a goal, right? 10 names or 100 names, or if you really want to run with this, like 500 names, right? And the quicker you approach those 500 people, the quicker you're going to become successful. And so, but then also plan your approach. So you have this list, don't just go message them, because you learn from your sponsor, learn from us on what to say, so then you can tailor the response to them. And then once you get some responses, you get some feedback, go back to your sponsor. Don't be like, oh, they didn't reply, or they said no. Like, there's a really crucial point of feedback that you're going to get as you're going to start doing this over the next couple of days, over the next couple of weeks. That feedback component is really important, that we support everyone through that feedback, because the feedback can either be a negative feedback or a positive feedback. And so, all feedback, there's no failure, right? It's all just feedback, whether you see it as negative or not. But some people can see a no, or what are you doing this for? Or is that network marketing? Is that a pyramid scheme? Like, there's always that negative, there's going to be someone, right? So really important that if you're doing this with your team accountability buddy, check back in, share with each other, like, how are you feeling? What do you need? What do you want right now in that conversation, to restabilize the perceptions on judgment and failure. Because, you know, if there's one thing about this industry, this is probably the most failure filled industry, you know, but at the same time, there's mass failure, or mass kind of like, can be overwhelming, but at the same time, there's mass wealth, mass freedom, like crazy amounts. So this is the question is, you know, how big is your capacity to hold on to the identity of who you think you are, or that identity of like being, like, if you feel judgment or criticism from people, feeling that and being okay with that, but letting that go and seeing the other side of it. You know, it's that relationship with our mind always, that we're either allying with, or we're, I guess, at war with. And so, you know, having that moment with that, within those 5 steps, which is getting that feedback. We don't speak about this enough. We were just learning about epigenetics over the weekend, and how our body and our mind and our heart create feedback, and we can close feedback loops if we know our strengths and weaknesses and things like that, which is super fascinating. But I think just realizing it right now, that step 4 of those 5 steps, getting feedback and seeing where you can improve with your sponsor, is so important. It's probably something that we should actually talk about more. Yeah, because if you're taking action, some people they go talk to 5 people and they all say no, and then they give up. Do you know what I mean? Like, that shouldn't happen like that. The thing is, if that's the mindset that you're taking into this, the mindset that you want to take is like, if you spoke to 100 people this week and they all said no to you, what are you going to feel? I just get a chat in the chat. If you spoke to 100 people this week and they all said no, thank you, all the best with it, what would you feel? And what would you say? You know, some people will see that as failure, Or some people will say, I'm going to do this no matter what. I'm going to do this until I get to the result. And if you're the type of person that says, I'm going to get to that point no matter what, I'm going to do this until I learn, it just means, what we all have the same product. And what actually, some people are talking people out of this product, or they're talking people into the business, or talking people into it. So it has to do a lot with our words, what we're saying, how we're saying it, that actually is the defining factor. So it's never, and all of what you say it, how you show up, these are all learned skills. No one wakes up and go, they're a professional network marketer. This takes time. And so just know that if you're stuck at any level, there is a skill set that you can learn. It's teachable, it's learnable. If you're open to it, that can really shift.
Awesome.
If you,
this is like just went and ran with it. We've got people saying they'd look at doing another 100. Amazing.
you just pick another 100.
They're not the ones you want. Look at the people.
Yeah.
Look at the people I'm reaching out to. Rejection. Change something. I need to change my approach. People are saying rejected. Yep.
Yeah.
So there you go. So I mean, that's the relationship that you have with rejection is really the difference that makes a difference, right? So have you had any people that have said no? Like
yeah, for sure. Yeah, all the
of
time.
all the people you've spoken to.
Yeah, absolutely. So and
your response was
it's really there's like, oh, well, thanks for your opinion, thanks. I've had one of the people in the very beginning, I spoke to her and she's like, Zach, robots are taking over the world and this is giving all your power away and it's going to distract everyone from, the ability to, connect back to nature. And she didn't even know much about it, but I had just shared with her what it was. A device scans your body, gives frequencies, something like that. But it triggered her and she was like, no. And then I went and saw her when I was up here in the Gold Coast, showed her the device and she's like, yeah, I want one. And so even if someone says no, it's just that like you've presented the information to them that's like overwhelming or something that's triggering them or something that, it's not in alignment, it's not in the values, and that's fine. But if they're open to like actually seeing it another time, then yeah, like maybe there's something that you can actually share with them that can help open up their minds to what's possible. But that's why it's so important to the no's. I guess it's usually more so like, I don't have the money right now. The no's is like, I don't know enough information, or like, I'm just like not at the right time in my life. And it's never just like a blatant no, I find. Yeah. Like this is so unique. Like I think in the other companies, there was so many no's because they had already been taking that product or something similar, or because there's no one has anything like this in the world. There's most people, I talk to 10 people and 9 people will usually say, yes, I want more information. I want to buy one. And so that's, the ratio is so just outrageously awesome. This is just such an important time. Like the next 12 months that we have in Healy, we'll never get back. Like we are all the founding members, even the next 3 years, but it's like the next 12 months is really crucial. And I know that, there is a part of me that is like regrets, like that weight of regret would be huge. If I got to, imagine in a year's time, 2 years time, 3 years time, that you haven't built this and you're watching all these other people skyrocket and doing those amazing things, what would that feel like? And that I think that fear sometimes motivates me to go, no, I don't want to be that person. So fear is like, there's that used stress. I don't get crippled by that stress. I use it towards actually motivating me towards more action.
Awesome. There's so many ways we can go about this, but for sake of time, this has just been amazing. For starters, so much value. You're typically the person that's extracting knowledge, so it's good to extract knowledge.
Any other questions, guys? Happy to chat. I think Deb had some questions, Or?
What I'd love to do, how many customers just wanting the product versus members wanting to build?
Probably the people that are wanting to build and stepping up would probably be like 20%.
Okay, so you speak to you enroll 70%. So sorry, 70 people, 80 people. You've got a lot of leaders. I think just in your direct, but then you've got a lot more that's come as a byproduct of those people that are sharing. So
there's probably like a couple of like maybe 50% haven't shared it with anyone. And then there's like
of the directs.
Yeah. And then out of that, the other 50%, there's probably 50% of those people, a quarter, I guess, are then sharing it with people, maybe 1 or 2 or 3, a couple of people, maybe less than 10. And then there's
a
like,
couple
there's
running.
like there's a 10% people, you know, so there's probably like a handful of 6 or 7 people that are directs who are really running with this. So then they're the ones doing the big action, big months. So yeah.
And if there's one thing you could, there's one question I'd love to hone in on a second, but what would you have done differently knowing what you know today? I think that's a similar conversation that we said last time, but
yeah, it would be the basics, like just really, you know, we have this 1K group right now.
we didn't have that at all.
And we didn't have that at all. So really breaking it down, figuring out probably if you're brand new to this, or you're just wanting to you're just starting, like figure out the top 3 things that you're really passionate about, your top highest 3 values, right? There's a fantastic process online called the Values Determination by Dr. John Deane. And it's a free process to do values determination. And it actually allows you, it takes like 30 minutes and it will help extract your highest values on what motivates you, what inspires you, and what you're kind of like moving away from, your biggest challenges, biggest supports in life. And because I was so passionate about a few things, I was intertwining my conversations around Healy, around things that I was passionate about. I was talking about the blue light that I'm into. I was talking about like sunrises, you know, like things that I was already passionate about. I was seeing how Healy was like in relation to that. So what are those 2 to 3 things that you guys love talking about already that like excite you? So it's like they do the thing that gives you the energy to do the thing. So what are those 2 to 3 things that you love talking about? For social media, it might be like talking about knitting, or you want to start talking about quantum, gardening. Maybe you love gardening, you know, and how can the Healy support you in that journey? Or if you're doing knitting, how the concentration programs can help you knit quicker, you know, like entwining what you're already passionate. Yeah, some people are laughing. They're like, yes,
there's so many ways.
I was like, yes, I can be a professional knitter and a network marketer. So, but also I think the other thing is like changing your identity is really important, and start claiming like kind of what Danny was saying was like, this is easy, this is simple, and this is fun. I'd like to add 2 things on it. This is easy, this is simple, this is fun. And if everyone just type, this is easy, this is simple, this is fun into the chat. This is easy, this is simple, this is fun. And this is what I used to talk about at my events. I actually got it from Kerwin Ray.
Yeah.
It was a belief that Kerwin Ray spoke about at Nail It and Scale It. It was like throughout the whole thing, this is easy, this is simple, this is fun. And he just like embedded that into this whole 3-day event. And so whenever we found something challenging, we were moving through it so quickly because of that was such a powerful belief. And so I find if you want to write on your whiteboard or your notepad or whatever it is, imagine if you integrated that belief that everything was easy, simple, and fun, how much more enjoyable that would be for you. And so looking at the identity of like that, or your beliefs around that, leading with that, but also looking at, start like owning the fact that if you want to be a professional network marketer, or you maybe the network marketing term doesn't apply to you, but maybe proclaiming that you're a professional connector, you're a professional networker, or you're a professional influencer, or you are a professional author, or you're a professional international speaker. You know, what is that identity that really excites you, and live into that?
Yeah.
Because like our behavior is based on how we see ourselves. So if you see yourself as, you know, a weak, you know, poor person or whatever it is, anxious person, we're going to still follow that out. We're going to fulfill that in our mind. So looking at the programs, you know, speaking to some of the healers here, or, you know, we spend a lot of money on personal growth outside of this, on our health, as well as like going to coaches and like kinesiologists and different practitioners to actually support our own identity and growth and our own money mindset, you know. So really looking at, if you're not finding that this is easy, simple, or fun, go back to your values, start integrating what you already love, like integrating, you know, surfing or whatever those things are that you've been putting off for a long time. Go back to do those things, give you the energy, then it will give you the energy to start doing this. And yeah, Dr. D. Martini, Values Determination.
Yep. Values
Determination on Google. And it's just a really powerful process to get your values. So we've covered a fair bit.
We covered a lot. And Pix, by the way, if you do know Dr. D. Martini, you know the 3-way edification process. go and do it. loop us in the chat. But
Oh, wow.
there's,
Yeah.
you know, and I was thinking about this the other day, like the edification process, that is such an incredible like skill, that at every level of this business, it doesn't stop whether you're, you know, at the level that we're at or where you're beginning. And it's so transferable. Like I actually remember I used it on introducing a mentor of mine to this business deal that didn't end up going through, but it was a multi-million-dollar deal. And I used the edification process that I learned within Healy and within just network marketing in general to actually generate that opportunity. And so it's no different, which is what I love about this. So just a little bit of a tangent. I was thinking about that the other day.
The skills that we're learning here, you
It's
can
so
use
transferable.
for any business. It's just like advanced communication.
Yeah.
And really like what I love about it is coming from my old identity before doing this was that I was an actor, because I had instilled that in my mind. And so getting into network marketing, there was a block because I was like, I don't see myself as that type of person. I was like, the identity of a network marketer, I don't want to be that, because my examples of a network marketer was pushy or like over, you know, these like negative connotations to that identity. But then as I started to meet other network marketers who were the most present, most calm, like genuine, like heart-centered people that I'd ever met in my whole life, and I started to meet them, and my references of what a network marketer was started to shift and change and dissolve. And I started to then reframe it of like, I loved acting because I was creating art. It was creating stories. It was like creating a story. I wanted to create art and stories that impacted the world, you know, timeless, to be here as a legacy, to be here before, you know, longer than all of us. So creating stories that move people. And so I looked at that identity, and then I looked at the identity of a network marketer, and I started to see all these amazing examples. And I was like, holy moly, these people are not just normal people. These are superhuman people. They're moving massive amounts of good in the world. They're moving people towards like amazing things. And so maybe look at the identity of who you think you are now, and look at what it means to be your identity, and then look at the identity of what you want to actually embody, and look at the positive and negatives of that identity that you perceive, because maybe there's like a mental block of how you perceive a certain identity. This is not to say, you know, at the end of the day, just be you. It's obviously just a big part of this. You know, don't try to be someone else, but it's in like owning your own identity would be something to really look at, you know?
Wow. It's been a crazy journey this last hour. Who's actually feeling like a lot more empowered? What's your number one takeaway? Put it in the comments. We talked all about identity. We talked about values. We talked about, you know, separation, you know, desperation, acknowledging where you're at, but then separation from that and focusing on the present moment and the future. And we talked a lot about just putting yourself in that frame of mind of giving versus taking, and really setting the example. So what was your number one takeaway, guys? That's what I gathered. I'm constantly learning. This guy teaches me every single day through embodiment of what it means. And yeah, you know, we're just getting started. So I'd like for you to, I'm going to request you guys to just take yourselves off mute. Just give this guy a big thank you very much for his time and his energy and his persistence and leadership. You guys are all unmute.
Woo.
Thanks, that was
Incredible.
Thanks, Brandon.
Thanks, Brandon.
You guys rock.
Thank you.
You guys rock.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. And yeah, tune into next week for another one of these. And any updates? Pretty much. We've got the 1K group that's been rocking. And yeah, that's going to be the next one for that. If you've got people that's coming into the business by now, get them started on the registration for the next one. November 12th, I believe, is the next one. And yeah, we've got a webinar tomorrow. Always, you know the schedule. So if you don't, we'll post up a platform where you can actually see all the calls. But tune into next week. See you guys this week. Have an incredible rest of your day, and see you soon.
Thanks, Brandon.
Bye.
Thanks, Zach. That was incredible. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.